Hey there. Welcome to the edge of Western civilization. Venice Beach. Pacific Ocean. Some interesting things going on today. All right, this is the piece that we were working on yesterday, and I thought, you know, I'm done. I thought it was finished, but I had a great idea last night as I was looking at it. Let's see. Go. What's my website? Yeah. Alrighty then. Oh, you know what?
Alright, this is
Okay. All right, Jay.
I'm gonna keep moving. I gotta get a picture of you doing this.
Yeah, I'm actually live streaming.
Yeah, I think I need to stand over there. I'm gonna get a picture of you doing
Do what
this.
you need to do, bro.
These are $5 for the print.
Yes, it's true.
How you doing, sis?
Okay. So we're live streaming, so you know you're on camera. Say hi to Mom.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Mom. Cool. That's what I'm gonna do. All right.
Hey, put that ruler back up again like you did before.
I'm not posing, Jay.
Alright, just one more time.
I don't pose, Davey.
Head to the top, one more time.
That's it. That's all you get. You better.
got it.
All right. Hi.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
One shot, Jay.
All right.
Here, you say. I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's for my little camera.
Right on. You get points for that. You see something you like? Yeah. I was going for
All right, Dave.
All right, Jay.
There you go, Flip.
All right.
I don't know why.
Oh my God!
You go, come on, man.
I know you recognize it. You got go ahead, slide there. Shake your head,
Yeah, for real. Honestly,
Well, while that's happening, Let's get some of this done.
I don't know, dude. Looks good.
Cool. Are you ready now? Alrighty. 1 second. So this one, see this? This is inspired by a manhole cover on the boardwalk that's 100 years old. It was founded in the Keystone Foundry in the Valley. Whoever designed it, you say challenging it, it's the basic squaring of the circle, or the perimeter of the circle in the area is square, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I did this one, you can see the texture of the canvas, because the original is about the same size. When I did this one, I saw this is a golden mean rectangle, right? And I was like, that looks like a door. So I painted it again the next day and scored it.
That's actually yeah, really good geometry, yeah.
So this is called integrity. There's another version of this that has words, but originally they didn't have words. Thank you very much. Do you need the money?
Yes.
The money. It's all original work.
How much is it?
All the 1 second. All the frame.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, dude, it's all very nice.
This piece is called Lucky.
I wish I had more money to give her. So my girlfriend at home is like the biggest spirit child in the world. She would love all this. I can't afford to get her more.
Yeah, I'm gonna be I'm live streaming for at least another 45 minutes. Sure.
Do you mind if I do the same thing? I wouldn't want to like bend any of this. I'm a little sorry.
Where are you guys from?
Long Island, New York.
I'm from Cape Cod.
Oh, really?
Really?
Right there. Thank you so much.
Looks the same.
Yeah, I would say so.
I was really surprised. It's a bigger Cape Cod.
Yeah, pretty much. Good stuff, man. See you in a little bit.
See you in a bit, man. Take it easy.
Okay, what are we doing? Well, now it's back to, it's like I gained 2 customers and lost 1. Oh well, there it goes. So, what I want to talk about is, I was just looking at the ephemera. Where's the ephemeris? I'm an astrologer. This is an ephemeris. It's the American ephemeris. Let's see, American ephemeris for the 21st century. And looking at the astrology, Mercury goes retrograde pretty much in the within the next 24 hours at 3 degrees Cancer. What this means is that Mercury, the planet of communication and the ruler of Gemini, is basically coming to a standstill in the sky for a couple of days, and then for the next 3 weeks it's going to be going backwards against the zodiac, against the field of the stars. And in Cancer, the sign that has to do with emotional healing, when the planet of communication goes backwards in the sky, it's time for inner communication. And the first 10 days is really about taking stock of what's happened over the past 3 months since it was going retrograde the last time. And then the middle part is kind of clear, cleansing, clearing the decks and getting ready for the last 3 days, which is kind of getting your marching orders for the next 3 months. And so once again, it's the planet of communication, and when it goes retrograde, it's about the time of inner communication. And so the fact that it's inner in the sign that has to do with emotional healing says that this is going to, next 2 weeks is going to be a very, very literally intense time for inner emotional healing. But for the whole world, it's not just for us personally, but it is a very personal, because it's one of the inner planets are all personal planets, and because they move so fast. And this retrograde period is going to be, should be very interesting to see how it plays out on the world stage as well. So anyway, there's that. Where's the sun? The sun is at, today is the 6th, so the sun is at approximately 16 degrees Cancer. Cancer? What am I saying? 16 degrees Gemini. And the moon is in Virgo. Interesting. So today is all about also about healing. It's up the practical application of healing and information, gaining information that one can use for practical information one can use for healing. And big emphasis on discernment with the moon in Virgo. So then, what else is going on? Sun's in Gemini. Venus is in Taurus. Yeah, what? That's 500. Acrylic on the third canvas, and I painted it about nearly 2 weeks ago. And you can watch. I'm live streaming right now. It's on the, and I actually live stream when I do the painting, so you can actually watch it being created on YouTube. Yeah, there's a, there's that one is recreated. That's how the lucky tree that's from. And there's also a print of that. Right? Cool. So anyway, is there anything else back there? Anything else major pressing going on here. Mars is in Libra at 10 degrees, speeding up. Jupiter is in Cancer at 20 degrees. What's fascinating, I don't know if you can see this. You see, this is it's basically a book of numbers. And it always blows me away that I'm actually able to read and understand what this is. Because, you know, up until my friend Kelly Phipps started teaching me astrology back in, what was that, 1995, I was, you know, one of those people that was very skeptical about, you know, astrology because of, you know, what you read in the newspaper. But, you know, the brother broke it down for me. And so now I'm able to actually read these numbers and understand what the heck they mean. So, but I'm seeing that that's basically enough for now. We'll talk more about it another time. So let's finish this. And we'll see what else happens. What do we got? We got 50%. Should be at least another half hour or so.
Instead of being 5 minutes from Venice, it's probably like 10.
How's that looking? I don't know if you can see it. That's cool. It's a classic case if the universe and your lemons make lemonade. When I was drawing these elements yesterday, I went over the mark twice, and I was like, what am I going to do with that? And this came to me. So this talking that you're hearing behind me, literally right behind the board, about 3 feet, is an Egyptian family speaking Egyptian. They're Coptic Egyptians, meaning that they're Christians. But they speak Arabic. So you're hearing Egyptian Arabic mumbled in the background. So let's see, this is about the 6th. The Mercury is going to be retrograde till about, what does that say? It goes retrograde until, is that the end of the month? Is that the 30th? To the end of the month? Last day of June. And it goes all the way back to 24 degrees 24 degrees Gemini. Interesting. Very interesting. Voila. I don't know if you can make that out, but that's where it's going. It makes it look a little bit more dynamic. We're done. Right there. You're welcome. Bless.
Sounds good.
One more. So to speak, kind of like that. All right. So we photograph that, and then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I wanted to. What do we got? We got 32%. Okay. Blink. So back, how I learned how to draw. Some would say I haven't learned yet. But I was like most people. I said I couldn't draw a stick figure. This is back in about when I was 21, back about 1979. And then I started hitchhiking around the country and writing, and jumping trains and stuff, and for those 2 years of hitchhiking and whatnot, just getting into writing, I would start to see images from the ideas that came to me for writing. And I was always carrying around a notebook, and when I got back home, I would try to get my brother to draw some of the images that I saw. And then I got kind of frustrated with trying to get other people to draw. I said, well, the heck with it, I'll just draw it myself, Even if it takes whatever it takes, I'll just do my best. So about that same time, this newspaper opened up in my hometown called the Woods Hole Weekly. You may have heard me mention that before. And I decided that I wanted to see if I could, start a series in that little newspaper. And so I went through my writings and I pulled out all these little sayings from, my 2 years of travel up to that point. And what I did is I bought a car. The first car I ever bought out of my own pocket, and it was a blue 1974 Volkswagen 412, and metallic blue, just like this. This color, and that weekend that I bought, just before the weekend after I bought the car, we drove down from the Cape to New York to this the No Nukes rally in Central Park. This is 1982, and I had seen the newspaper around town, their first issue, like a couple of days before, And so we drive down to New York in my new blue EW412. When we got there, the next morning, I've been trying to think of a name for my new car, my new Chariot, you know, and I hadn't thought of anything until after the rally. We were walking down to Greenwich Village from Central Park, and we walked through Union Square. And as we entered Union Square, I had like a fling moment where the words "Blue Muse" came into my mind, and I thought that'd be a good name for the car. That's a great name for like a cafe, you know. But at that point, I knew it'd be a long time before I could afford to actually have a cafe, you know. So when I got back to the Cape a couple of days later, I started to draw up some samples to submit to the editor, Russ Kendall, at the newspaper. And this is a classic, weekly startup newspaper. It was the offices were in the basement of this family home that in Woods Hole, and yeah, it was definitely a bootstrap operation, but all heart. Anybody that was back there then knows how much heart went into it. Anyway, what I did is I took some of those quotations from my writings, and I took the words Blue Muse and the last E of the word muse, M-U-S-E. I extended a line using a blue pen in a square around the quotation, and then connected it up with the bottom of the B. So it was all boxed in except for the words Blue Muse up in the upper left corner. And that was I made probably like 3 pages of those. So there were probably about 9 of them, 9 or 10 little samples, and I took them to Russ, and he said, "Well, this looks pretty good. Okay, so you'll have an editorial cartoon space on the second page, and it'll be what was it, 5.5 by 4 1/4, I think. Is it 4 1/4? Yeah, something like that. And so I went back to my drawing board, literally a little board like this, and I was like, okay, so now I have this space, and I knew the paper. The paper was, the paper was just a little bit bigger than a Life magazine. So I was like, okay, I want to make this space an unforgettable, life-changing event. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to get rid of the border. I realized if there was no border around it, then the whole page would kind of bleed into it. And so I started drawing this cartoon, and actually I was writing the words, and then I started drawing the letters. That was the thing. I was like doodling on each, so that each letter was like an event. And then that became like my little laboratory. In the process, I basically taught myself how to draw, and the main focus was, how do I make this space an event? And this ultimately, it turned into, that cartoon ran for a 1.5 years until the paper closed. And but for me, it was, it was my little opportunity to explore and you know, on the job training, as my dad always, OJT, right? So and it was really, you know, before the age of the internet, it was really amazing to have the experience of having an idea on, you know, Thursday, drawing it up and everything on Friday, submitting it on Saturday, seeing it come out, and then by Saturday night, there's people talking about it. You know, I'd meet people on the street and say, "Hey, I really like that piece you did in the paper." You know, I was like, "Wow!" You know, especially after, you know, all the hitchhiking and stuff, where you're out there hanging off the edge of a boxcar in the middle of nowhere, and nobody knows if you fell off. Nobody would give a hoot, whatever. But you're having, you know, a whole universe of ideas coming through your brain, and you're like, you know, constantly cultivating a sense of wonder and amazement about the realm of ideas, you know, the realm of possibilities, and doing your best to record those. And so that's what in those 2 years of hitchhiking and whatnot, I was basically trying to, you know, the idea was to write a book, and the book was, the vision was that it would be a book that you could open to any page and you know, get something yummy from, and you could start anywhere. And you know, one of the things was, you know, when most stories, especially novels, you know, they're long. It's a long road, and it's linear, but you have to, you know, follow through the whole thing, the whole line, to get the whole story. And when in actuality, often with novels especially, there are, you know, the key moments are, you know, with the real crux of the story are only on a couple of pages. You know, so you may read a 100-page book, or 200 or 300-page book, and there'd be like 5 pages where anything really happens that's germane to the ultimate story, right? So the idea for this book was that you could open it to any page and you would just get those 5 pages. You know? And what's interesting is when I went to write my autobiography, that was the whole idea. Is if you open it up, if you ever get a chance to look at the autobiography, what's the name of your autobiography, David? Shameless self-promotion. The Unpolished Man. Available on Amazon and Lulu. Right. So, sufficiently plugged, I hope. So when I wrote the autobiography, it's the same. It's written with that in mind, where you can open it up to any page. The idea is that, you know, you'd probably be sitting on the toilet and and you open up the book, and you've only got so much time, and so that everything, you know, it's just about every paragraph is separated, so that, and that paragraph is like a whole story in and of itself. But if you know, you could read it linearly, and you're going to get, you know, the bigger picture, the bigger story, you know. So anyway, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So the Blue Muse series. I met an older woman that had been working for. She was contributing to the Woods Hole Weekly as well, and there was one day we did a photograph, a group photograph of everybody that was contributing to the newspaper, and it was the first time we had all been in the same place at the same time, and this woman, I mean, she was probably, you know, in her 70s, if not 80s at the time, and, you know, she'd spent a lifetime working in publishing, newspaper publishing, and she gave me the idea of syndicating the series to weeklies all over the world, you know. And so I came up with a little formula, and the idea was that if mine was a single panel cartoon, you know, it was about like that big, And if I put together 4 of those, you know, and charged like $10 every time they got published in the newspaper, and I went to the it turns out there's like at that time there were 9,000 weekly periodicals all over the planet, and there's a book there's actually a couple of books in the reference sections of most libraries that tell you give you a basic the basic information of each one of those periodicals, you know, like their address and their contact information, all that kind of stuff, and what the demographic is and all that kind of stuff, right? So I spent a summer in the Falmouth Library going through that book and picking out 2,000, actually 2,200, 200 of them were college newspapers all over the world. And then I spent the next year and a half to 2 years working as a stage technician in Boston to get the money together to design and send out those a submission to all 2,200 periodicals. Four of my designs, 4 of my Blue Muse cartoons with a return envelope, and a little cover letter explaining, what the terms would be. And so the idea was that, the formula was that if even, if you have 1,000 periodicals that you're submitting to, you should have at least 1 to 2% should pick it up, right? So I figuring, well, 1% of, that's 1% of 1,000 is 10 periodicals, and if they're paying me, if I send out 4 images, then that'd be like 40 times. That's $400, right? So then, at the time, I was living on nothing anyway, $400. So then I doubled it, 2,000 periodicals I sent it to, figuring that'd be $800. So I could live on $800, Even today, though, $800 would be great, And as a start, and I build on top of that. That was the idea. Well, so I worked those 2 years, schlepping scenery for the American Repertory Theater at Harvard and the Huntington Theater Company at Boston University, and we're down to 11%. So we're going to wrap it up pretty quick here. So what ended up happening is, finally I had enough to do the mail-in. I went to a printer and he gave me an estimate of what it would cost and everything. I don't remember what it cost. It's probably like about $1,000 to get the printing done. And so I spent I got an apartment. I actually rented a house for the summer and got housemates to help pay for the rent and everything. And then I spent that summer basically stuffing envelopes and addressing envelopes. And then sometime in August, I had everything ready to go, and I had to go to the. This is one of the most dramatic moments. I had to go to the post office and hand the man $500. $500 to get stamps, right? And he handed me back. He handed me back like a handful of rolls of stamps, which was less than the 500. It was less of a mass than the $500 that I was like, here's somebody, because I worked real hard for that money, And so I go back and I, start stamping envelopes, and then a couple of days later, I showed back up with, a couple of boxes full of my submissions, and they all went out. And so I'm waiting. I'm waiting to get, I'm waiting to get to hear back anytime, any minute from then on. But I felt like, I've been working on this for like 3 years, and Later, I got a phone call, and in the middle of the night, really, and it was a periodical in Kansas City that I did not send this to, that another periodical had forwarded to them, and they were interested in publishing one of my cartoons, but they wanted to know if I was going to come down in the price. And I immediately said, no, that it is what it is. And they said, okay, we'll call you back. We're going to use it, right? And I was like, okay. And they hung up, and I was like, you know, I was all excited and everything like that. I was like, this is what it's going to be. People are going to be calling, you know. Excuse me. Hello. Are you photographing?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. So what ends up happening is they called back in like 10 minutes, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna do it." And so they sent me. We'll send you the money. We'll send you the $10, right? So they sent the $10. I was all excited. I was thinking this is the beginning. There's going to be more. And I would go back to, I had a P.O. box, and I would P.O. box number 5. That seemed really cool. P.O. box number 5, Falmouth, Massachusetts, right? Back then. Don't have it anymore, so don't send anything there. But what ended up happening is, make a long story short, that was the only sale I made. And for the next month, I got return to sender, address unknown, for about 1 or 2%. So that corrected my list, but I didn't sell any more than that one. And when that $10 came, I took the $10 and I bought $10 more worth of stamps, and that's what I used to send out the college, the last 200. And then I went to my mother's house and I sat down and I said, "Mom, it didn't work." She said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, when this whole idea started, the syndication was only one thing. There were these other, I was going to do posters, postcards, T-shirts, and buttons. And I think I'm going to, go ahead and keep going with it, Because at that point, I'd quit my job doing schlepping scenery and everything, and I just decided that I was going to, I didn't want to work for anybody else anymore. My reason for working for somebody else had ended. I did the mailing, and I noticed that when I'm working for somebody else, my mind screams, I need to be doing my own work, So I said to her, at least if I'm starving, I'll know what I'm starving for. So I went ahead, and I noticed in myself, she was like, because when I came in to see her, I was like really down, but then when I started talking about what I was going to do next with the idea, by the time I left there, I was just so pumped, So what I did is, I researched those three. I researched cards, postcards, T-shirts, and buttons, because I had like 300 button designs. It was putting the cartoon series, merchandising the cartoon series. And so what I did is I went ahead and researched those three, and then I drew up. I took 100 cards, blank cards. I stayed up all night, got into that, what Burke Breed called the cartoon zone, where you don't have enough sleep, and your mind works a lot more smoothly. And I would doodle on these 100 cards, and then what does that doodle look like? And and out of that, I made 100 designs, and I took them around to all these stores in Boston and Cambridge, and I said, okay, I'm thinking of starting a card company, and I was wondering if you knew of anybody that would be interested in these, and so I wasn't asking them to do this stuff. And out of that came, I ended up getting 2 orders for 100. Was it 100? 100 of each, 25 different designs, and that. And the rest is history, because that ended up. That started my greeting card company, and I lived off of that for like 3 years. So we're almost out, and we can change. That story goes on and on and on. It gets real deep and wide and long and whatnot. But what I wanted. The next time we do this was show number 20. We're gonna. The reason I brought this up is that last night I watched a movie about Calvin and Hobbes, and it took me back to being a cartoonist for a living, and supporting. I was on the postcard economy for 3 years. I lived out on postcards. I've toyed with doing more of the cartoon series, because I actually ended up doing 1,000 in that series, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm thinking about doing. So I was thinking about doing some more, and then today I just got an offer from somebody to some company on the East Coast that's interested in carrying this channel. So I was thinking about how I can, work that out. So next time we'll talk about that. I'm not sure that I'm going to get a space tomorrow. If I don't, we'll be on. If I do, I don't know. Saturdays are really hard to get a connection. But we'll give it a shot. If you don't see me, if you don't see it tomorrow, that's okay. We'll try again on Sunday. Weekends are tough here. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And here's the final. Like that, right? Yeah. Something like that. I can't.